If you have irises in your yard and they're not performing well, it might be due to a few reasons. They might not be getting enough sun. They might be sitting too low. Irises do like to be planted up higher on a hill or a slope or a raised bed so that they have great drainage underneath. Another very important thing is that irises really need to be divided every 2 or 3 years if you want to keep getting big, tall, beautiful flowers. So let me show you how to do it. All right, I'll carefully lift the whole clump and put it on its side. At this point, I can cut the leaves to about 6 inches tall. I didn't want to do that to start. Now we are dividing these. We're not transplanting them. We're just dividing them and putting them back in the same spot, but separating them. Pulling out any extra weeds from here. One thing I should mention, if you see any tall flower stalks like this on your plants, you might want to cut them off after they're finished blooming. This way, more energy will go down into the roots. Okay, what do we have here? We have, if I jiggle or massage it all the way around, release the dirt, soil. We will start seeing the rhizomes. You want to try to separate them with your hands if possible. See here, when you start seeing the rhizomes above the ground, that's a signal that your irises need some help. And look at these all close together here. We want to try to separate them with our hands. If that doesn't work, we can go in. I'm just doing it on a cutting board right now. You can go in and just cut. You need a sharp cut to divide the bulbs, okay? The sharper the cut, the less chance of spreading any bacteria or problems. Look at that nice worm in there. So basically, the iris rhizomes were too packed in together, and they didn't have enough space to do their own thing. Just like people. People need their space, and sometimes they have to get out of the house and do their own thing. You basically want to inspect your rhizomes, make sure you don't have any holes in them or any discoloration or softness. Make sure they're good, still good and healthy. If they did have problems, I suggest you throw them in the trash. Don't put them in your compost pile. Oh, this is kind of mushy here. I'm gonna take that out and discard it. I'll get my shovel and dig a nice wider hole here. You don't have to go too deep, but go deep enough so that you know the roots will be able to go down and spread out pretty easily. You don't want any compaction down in there. Now, there was a time when I would have added some bone meal or some compost right into the soil, but recent science is suggesting now that you should not do that. You should apply your fertilizer or bone meal or compost around the whole clump of irises after you are finished. Actually, the best time to fertilize would be right after they bloom. So we really don't even have to do it right now. Okay, here's the trick. See how this rhizome has the leaves coming out on one side? That is the side you want to face the direction of where people are viewing your plants from. So I'm going to put this in here. Well, first of all, I'm going to build a mound. I'm going to lay the iris on top of the mound and put some soil around it. See how I'm covering the roots here? I want to make sure the roots are covered like that. Irises like to be raised a little bit. Here's another little mound. I'm letting the fan face towards you. That's where the viewers will see this plant. I'm resting it on the mound, and I'm putting the backfill soil right over the roots. Another mound. These broke off. That's okay. As with most bulb plants, you know what? I'm throwing this one out. It's just not looking right. It looks like something was eating part of that bulb. That's trash. Okay. Here's our fan. Putting it on the mound, spreading the roots out a little. This really does help. I hope that next spring I'll see a lot more flowers than I've seen in the past. I would say it's probably been at least 7 years since I've done this. It seems like I let a lot of things go, and I have. You know, I was raising my kids. They played hockey. We had the hockey life. I wasn't home enough to work on my projects. You know how it is for a mom. And so I let things go. I only did like the bare necessities. And then when my kids graduated and moved out of the house, actually I still have one in college. Then when they started growing up, they didn't need me as much. Then I got back out here in the garden. Then before you knew it, my mother became ill quite a few times in the past few years. So I've neglected my plants, and that might happen to you in your life too, and that's okay. They will keep living for the most part, and you can come out and make the changes that you would like when you can. So you get the idea, right? I'll just keep these together right here. Another mound. Okay, I don't want to cover the leaves at all. We want the base of the leaves to be right above the soil level. Now, one way you can check the depth of your planting is you can take a flat tool like this shovel, and you can see that the bottom part of the shovel should be level with the base of the leaves, just like that. So we will fill in where we need to fill in with soil, not with mulch. Mulch comes later around the top if you like, but not right over the plants, not right over the bulbs. Around the whole clump, just like you would spread the fertilizer, around the whole clump. After this, you give them a little watering each day for a week or two to get them established. They will do the work in preparing for dormancy and then for reblooming next spring. I love irises because they have a nice tall structure in your yard. They're also great for hiding things behind it. I have irises all across the top of my hill here in groups. And up there on the hill, I have a whole bunch of weeds that you can't see because these irises are hiding them. They're awesome. If you have a nice bed with a lot of shorter plants, it's nice to put 1 or 2 of these in there just to draw the eye up a little and give some variety in the viewer's eye. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you can find some time to get out and divide your irises. We're not going to transplant bulbs right now. We'll do that in 3 or 4 weeks. You need to make sure that your leaves of your cannas or your elephant ears or other bulbs are falling over, wilting, and they look like they need help. They look like they're really done for the season. So I'll put out a video in a few weeks for that. So you do one section at a time, as many as you can. If you find that you have way too many bulbs, you can always share them with friends who might want them. If you don't have enough takers, then you can offer them to churches or nursing homes or other places that might need some help with their landscaping. Usually there's a gardener in a group somewhere who will take them. So I'm going to put all of my extras today in this bucket here and see if I have anyone who wants them. They're all purple, bearded iris.